Hey everybody, it's me, Remy, the comic book poser, and I'm here today to welcome you to Enter the Poserverse. Get prepared to see this shirt a bunch throughout the next 2 weeks, because I'm batch recording a lot today. But for today's video, it's Monday, so it's time to talk about 5. That's right, 2 weeks in a row, I've narrowed my list down to only 5 comics that I really liked from last week's New Comic Book Day, that I think if you missed out, you should pick them up on this week's New Comic Book Day. And to see what they are, you'll have to check it out after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Alright, full disclosure, the only book that I have not read from last week's books that probably will make the list post hoc is DC's History of the DC Universe number 3 that focuses on Katana. Katana is, of the characters that have been covered so far, the one that I know the least about, so I want to be able to make sure that I've got clear presence of mind, that I'm not just reading books in bulk, that's going to be a book that I need to sit and think about, so I'll probably put it on Instagram and go like, here's where I would have put it, because I know I'm going to love it. I've loved the first 2. So here we go. Coming in at number 5 is a number 1 from Vault. It's Witchblood number 1. This is the Dazzler number 1 homage cover. I really like a lot of the homage covers that have been coming from Vault, right? The cover of Giga, the cover of Hollow Heart, that are homage covers. So Witchblood is created by Matthew Ehrman and Lisa Sturl, and it's colored by Gab Contreras and lettered by Jim Cowell. So I really like this. This was a very entertaining issue number 1 to pull you into the universe that they are creating. They have a young woman who you learn is a witch that has kind of appeared out of nowhere, right? Like she apparently mystically teleported into this day and time, and her motorcycle that she's riding gets hit by a worn out beater of a truck. She goes to confront the woman who's driving it, and you learn that that woman apparently is a vampire hunter. There's a fight between the witch, the vampire gang, and you learn that clearly they're after the, source of magic, Witchblood. I liked it. The art was really cool. I really liked the colors in it. Right, this is a good book that it made me laugh. It made me kind of go like, but it had a lot of good high action sequences in it too. So I'm excited to see what happens next. Legion of Comic Geeks, or League of Comic Geeks, whatever the hell my pull list website thing that I use is called, says that this ties into the Vampire the Masquerade universe. If it does, then reading it wasn't necessary unless that tells you who the woman or the vampire gang are. But I liked it a lot. Coming in at number 4 from Aftershock Comics is I Breathed a Body number 3. It's by Zach Thompson and Andy McDonald, with colors by Triona Farrell and letters by Hassan Otsame Elhu. So this book, you start to get more knowledge of the necklace that was prominent in the first 2 books, right? Like in issue number 1, when the kid takes it off, he's just like turns into a pile of goo. The highlighted words are back. I still need to create my Charlie from It's Always Sunny style, like, serial killer bulletin board to see if these highlighted words mean anything. They say it's just to kind of show significance, like bolding. I still think there's something fishy going on with the highlighting. But this book, again, continues to be as graphic and weird as the first 2 were, where you see the corpse of the social media influencer that died in issue number 1 is now being consumed by wolves for a bunch of views. You find that there are a lot of people who are kind of impacted by this, and it was kind of a good continuation of kind of the creepy horror, but also finding out what made that necklace magical and the true power of it. The only thing that I will say is I'm slowly becoming, bigger and bigger a fan of like content warnings, because There are some things that, you don't know what's going to trigger folks or, unearth some skeletons from their past. So the warning that I will give is that there's a suicide attempt towards the end of the book. Granted, right next to that you see, the ad for issue number 4 and then the line for the suicide hotline. But I think, as indie comics continue to go into all kinds of uncharted territory, I don't think it would be problematic to include some of those kinds of warnings, right? And it's not about going like, oh, don't write books about suicide. No. If you have a content warning in there, right, even if it's in the description of the pull of the book, which it was not in the previews version of it, then it allows someone to kind of put their mental guard up, right, to be aware that something is going to happen, right, so they can use their survival skills to deal with it. So that's my only qualm with the book, but I still like what Thompson and all company are doing with this weird technological kind of horror that Zach Thompson has become a master of. Coming in at number 3, also from Aftershock, is Nuclear Family number 2. It's written by Stephanie Phillips with art by Tony Shasteen, J.D. Miller, and Troy Patiri on letters. So, nuclear attack happens. You find out that the family in issue number 1 gets labeled as like communists because they somehow survived this nuclear blast, and you find out that apparently their house just popped up out of nowhere 10 years after the city of Milwaukee and other cities were attacked by a nuclear bomb. So you find out where people have been surviving and what they're doing to attempt to rebuild after that. So I'm very intrigued by what this book has done and where it continues to go. Coming in at number 2, and the reason why I'm wearing my Bitchin' Terminal Punk shirt from Mad Cave Studios is Terminal Punk's number 2, with written by Matthew Ehrman, art by Shelby Criswell, and Micah Myers is on the colors. I've loved this series from start to now finish. Just the off-the-wall tale of this band that ends up in an airport that gets invaded by, like, monsters that are animals that have been mutated by something that clearly mutated them and made them bigger and scarier than they were, that they were created to be the plaything of some billionaire asshole, and just everything that could have gone wrong went wrong in the airport. There is a hero that I did not see kind of coming to save the day in all of this. I really enjoyed kind of the relationships among the band members as we have seen them continue to develop. But again, for as good as Ehrman's writing is, and like Shelby, they just crush it on the art, that it's got, its own kind of wild, funky style. And you saw, right, me and talking about Witchblood, that we know what Ehrman has moved on to next. So I'm really excited to see what Shelby's got up their sleeve next. And if you're not hiring Shelby to illustrate a book, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, they are insanely talented. And I need more Shelby Criswell in my life. Period. Coming in at number 1 is a book that honestly surprised me with how good it was and how much I enjoyed it, that it was something that I picked up only because I was tangentially enjoying another book related to it. So my pick of the week from the 31st of March, Beta Ray Build number 1. Beta Ray Build number 1 is written by Daniel Warren Johnson. Mike Spicer is on the art, and the rest of the creative team. Oh, Daniel Warren Johnson does the writing and the art. Mike Spicer is the colorist, and Joe Sabino and Daniel Warren Johnson do the lettering. So, Beta Ray Bill, right, is the only one of the other few people that we've seen worthy of wielding Thor's hammer, right? So Odin creates Stormbreaker for him his own weapon, and then Thor breaks it in the battle during the the ongoing Kate's Thor story. But this really starts to give kind of a clear origin of who Beta Ray Bill is, and it is playing into some of the events of the King in Black arc, right? And you can clearly tell that from the cover with this entity that has the, null doodah on his forehead. But this book gives a good origin, right? And shows how Beta Ray Bill may be like a big A-team kind of superhero type person, but because of his, relationship to Thor, the role he plays on Asgard, right, the glory that he should be achieving, he is constantly, Charlie Brown, who has Lucy pulling the football from in front of him. And, you see what happens, how he was kind of chosen, what gives him his superpowers, and really the extent of what he can do. And I'm a big fan. I'm really here to see how this continues to play his way out, especially in a world where he can't change back to a human form with the absence of Stormbreaker. So this was a surprisingly good book, because I enjoy Marvel books more often than not. You will see me buy, more Marvel than DC, but more indies than Marvel. But this was just a solid book that even if you're not, the world's biggest Thor or superheroes fan, you can kind of look into this world that is created and see how it all kind of plays its way out. And I think you'll be happy with the results. That I think, even if you are a diehard indie fan like I am, read this book. I think it might give you something new to pick up and check out. Like I said, I did not read History of the DC Universe #3 yet. There are a few other books from this week that, if I'm behind on the series, I haven't read it yet, but my to-read list is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But let me know what you think about my picks. You can argue with me. You probably have been telling me how wrong I am over here in the chat. If you're watching it on the rewind, let me know down in the comments below. But as always, y'all, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.
Thank you for being a friend.
And from my heart, I want to give you a big Bronx yeah. Yo, big things soon to come. Keep doing your thing. Come.
And I want to thank you. Thank you, silence.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4.